people judged not by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. That was the dream of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
We have the God-given duty to help save ourselves and our white brothers from tragic self-destruction in the quagmire of racial hate.
On April 4th, 1968, the clearest voice to emerge from that quagmire was silenced. The gunshots that night ended one painful examination of the national conscience, but began another. 1955, Montgomery, Alabama. Martin Luther King, Jr. started on a path that took him to the forefront of the civil rights movement. The protest was against Montgomery's segregated buses.
I'm sure that I voice the sentiment of the more than 40,000 Negro citizens of Montgomery. We still have the attitude of love. We still have the method of passive resistance, and we are still insisting emphatically that violence is self-defeating, that he who lives by the sword will perish by the sword.
King phrased the conflict eloquently, but he went beyond the tradition of nonviolence, expanding on the conviction of the Southern religious leaders who taught him. Summer 1963, Birmingham. King used the pen and word against the dog, fire hose, and Sheriff Bull Connor. It landed him in jail.
I guess he got much of his belief and courage in seeing what I did.
1964, Selma. King has been recognized with the Nobel Peace Prize, but that isn't enough to get blacks the right to vote.
Freedom, freedom! Today I want to tell the city of Selma.
Tell them, Doctor.
Today I want to say to the state of Alabama.
Yes, sir.
Today I want to say to the people of America and the nations of the world that we are not about to turn around.
Yes, sir.
We are on the move now.
Yes, sir.
Like an idea whose time has come.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not even the marching of mighty armies can halt us.
Yes, sir.
We are moving to the land of freedom.
The life was taken from Martin Luther King, Jr. on April 4th, 1968, but his message lived on, and today carries a timeless logic.
Now we're saying everybody ought to have a job, and everybody ought to have a guaranteed annual income, and everybody ought to have the right to live in a decent house and anywhere that he wants to live, and everybody ought to have an adequate education. This is the problem.
King's message has lived.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.